Okay, so, if you know me, you know I don't like to beat a dead horse. You've probably heard of what's going on with the YouTube channel and rescue organization known as SaveAFox, and its founder, Michaela Rains. I've always been aware of the SaveAFox channel, but I did not follow it regularly, so bear with me if I'm not clued into some of the finer details. And I'm doing as much as I can to investigate this situation thoroughly. SaveAFox is, thankfully, an operation I can refer to as a real rescue. By that I mean, these animals are actually in need of saving. Now, there are other entities on YouTube, which I absolutely will not name because I'm always on the receiving end of vitriol, no matter how solid my arguments are, that use the word rescue, and it seems to garner them an instant fan base. However, they often have animals that are valuable, and in the worst cases, they simply purchase these animals just as any pet owner does, but still ask for donations, and then they would declare that the animals they themselves own should not be pets. Well, I was very pleased to see so far that Michaela was a rare example of someone who didn't do this. She rescued the very needy fur farm red foxes, but also had personal pets on the side, and I believe at least one breeding operation for other species. As far as I can tell, she was open about this, and she did not make anti-exotic pet remarks. I have a lot of respect for this, but sadly, this also made her a target for backlash from the types of people who I talk about repeatedly on this channel. People who are against keeping any animal in captivity that is not some extremely popular mainstream pet. Given this, the comments that she has received resonate with me. Recently, an accusation has been made by her husband that Michaela took her life due to negative comments made about her online. Now, it's very important to understand that he did not specify which comments were affecting her at the time or the nature of them. He did suggest that the main comments that affected her were from other rescuers and people she knew. It has been suggested that she has been the victim of false accusations. However, the internet has now put a bounty on the head of any person who has ever made a negative comment on various websites, including Reddit, Tumblr, the site formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram. I would describe the large majority of these comments to be criticism. I am no stranger to doling out criticism, and certainly no stranger to receiving it. When does criticism become bullying or harassment? This might be a hard line to draw. I would say that when critical comments become excessive personal attacks, they can be considered a level of bullying. It would be especially heinous to knowingly make false accusations with the goal of hurting someone, but we don't have evidence of this at this time. I'll tell you one thing, however, when it comes to animals, people can be ridiculously nitpicky. I do believe they believe in what they're saying, absurd as some of it may be. I'll cite one small example. Someone made a comment about Michaela supposedly kicking an Arctic fox. I couldn't see the video in question, but I'm sure it was just another overreaction to a completely non-harmful maneuver. Sometimes it can be so hard to post animal interactions for these reasons. People zero in on everything, and not all what you see on the camera is what it seems, especially if you're looking to demonize a person. At the end of the day, however, people are going to have opinions. As exotic pet owners, we need to be prepared to deal with them. We are held to a different standard than owners of so-called domesticated animals because they are seen as something other than a pet. Something I'm working to change. Let's not pretend that these type of remarks are not normalized. There are entire channels dedicated to it, and there's at least one YouTube channel that targeted animal owners that I know of. Public figures are often the targets of backlash. Criticism and even flat-out bullying are sadly going to be common in animal work, and this is especially true with exotic pet owners. I've been looking for comments pertaining to SaveAFox all day, and I think we can safely gather that the large majority of critical and hateful comments are coming from those who are anti-captivity. I just happened to stumble upon this Instagram post where Michaela was discussing why she breeds African jackals, which would not be a rescue species. Folks, this is why I find it so important to be fully transparent about exotic pet ownership, because she apparently had fans who approved of her rescuing and owning non-traditional pets only if they were saved from fur farms. They hate zoos and exotic pets. So many influencers hide behind the word rescue. But Michaela was willing to admit what she was doing, despite the views of some of her more extreme followers. Here's the thing about posting owned captive exotic animals online. People like Michaela and myself are prone to hyper-scrutiny over how our pets live, and unproven claims of abuse and hoarding are commonplace. On another channel, I've spoken out against unfair criticism of certain influencers. Oftentimes, it starts out perfectly valid, but then it goes out of control. People just get mean and nasty for the sake of it, which seems to be the purpose of these snark subreddits and other platforms. In a previous video, I spoke of people who've never owned animals like these, and their instant readiness to point out so-called abuse and suffering. You can see it happen on this very channel, and it might even happen in the comment section of this very video. There was apparently a Google document that someone made about SaveAFox, documenting the rescue's residents and making various claims. This was familiar because I spoke out against a similar document about another exotic pet owner years ago. This is exactly why I won't do an all my pets video or anything like that. I know there are people who like to keep tabs on people's animals so they can make claims of abuse if they pass away. On another channel where I posted videos of my pets, I already started to experience being hounded by commenters on if a certain pet is still alive. Frankly, that is none of their business. The death of a pet is nothing short of devastating to me. The last thing I need is harassment by internet randos if an animal didn't live into the upper range of their lifespan. It seems that Michaela was open with the passing of some animals, and some that were in accidents. This was preyed upon by various individuals. I strongly suggest to all content creators with exotic pets, don't answer to anyone. There are just too many armchair animal experts out there, parroting talking points from anti-pet organizations. That being said, I welcome all criticism here, even if I resent the content. I'm confident the facts are on my side, and I value that we can have public discourse and disagreements without it devolving into mudslinging. Repeated abusive comments and numerous personal attacks will not be tolerated, and I haven't really experienced much of that, thankfully. If you have something negative to say, present your argument in a professional manner. Please do not proceed to bully the alleged bullies. I hope I don't have to point out that obvious hypocrisy. Try to keep a level head, and please let any new potential information come to light before going on a witch hunt.